The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, this is Robert Dixon. It is 1 o'clock Eastern and we're getting ready to start our Hangout for the week. Brian, as most of you probably know, is in Las Vegas. He actually just spoke at the Apex SEMA conference out in Las Vegas. From what I understand, it's one of the largest conferences in any industry in the world. So that was pretty exciting. I haven't spoken to him since his speech, but it was at 11 Eastern, I think, so it probably just ended not too long ago. So I am running it this week, and we're going to have a good time. It'll be a little different than usual. Brian, he and I are very, very different in just about every conceivable way, other than the fact that we both have a passion for building a business and for marketing. He's the salesperson. He's the guy that can close anybody. He's the guy that loves to go out and sell, and he's the guy that doesn't know how to do anything technical. So I'm the opposite in pretty much every way. Real quick before we go any further, can everyone hear me? If you can, please type into the chat box. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, William. All right, so yeah, one of the ways in which we're so different, he flew out to Las Vegas. It's a 6-hour flight, and he flew out yesterday. He spoke this morning, and now he's probably on his way to the airport, getting ready to come home. He likes, whenever he has to go anywhere for business, he likes to go and then immediately turn around and come home. For me, if I'm taking a 6-hour flight, I want to make 2 6-hour flights. I want to make it worthwhile. If that were me, I think I'd be staying out there a little longer than he is. But there's business to be done, so we have a meeting tomorrow, so I guess he needs to get back for that. So anyway, this Hangout today, like I said, is going to be a little different. I know a lot of people, or at least I think a lot of people are like me. Not everyone, of course, but looking to build a business, maybe on the shy side, not really the best at selling, and but still have a passion for building a business, still want to grow a business, work with offline clients, and just don't know how to get in the door. I don't know how to get clients, don't know how to kind of build their reputation and become more well-known in their community. I know that was my problem when I first started a couple years ago. And over time, through a lot of testing, I found a way to overcome that. Lots of different techniques. Several techniques. Some I've put into books before. The one I'm about to teach today, if anybody on here has a system that I released a little over a year ago with the 2 rock stars called Client Love, it has a little bit to do with that, but there's a little bit more as well. So anyway, it's a great way to sort of build. It almost builds out a system where you just get clients flowing in without even trying, and it's really, really easy. So this, I'm going to talk about one technique today where that I have used with a lot of success, and really this is what allowed me to go from nothing to a viable business. So let's get started, I guess. So how anyone can sell tons of offline services without doing much selling. So as you might be able to tell just by listening to me speak, I'm not much of a natural salesperson. I know a lot of stuff. If once I kind of build a rapport with somebody and talk to them about offline services and what we can do for them, I certainly can hold my own. I know what I'm talking about. But I'm not good at pitching. I'm not good at closing a sale. I can tell somebody about what we offer and they can get real excited about it, and when I'm in a meeting with Brian and he just says some things and the people just want to throw money at us, and with me, I'm not as good at making that happen. But I hate trying to sell things to people, especially if I don't already know them. If I have a relationship with them, if I've met them a few times, it becomes a little easier for me to open up and sell to them. But if I'm meeting somebody cold, cold calling or a client visit or a potential client visit, that's not an area where I excel, and it's an area that I don't like. when I'm talking to somebody, I could read 10 books about how to close sales and then not be able to not be able to make it actually happen. So can everybody see the PowerPoint? I just want to make sure I'm going to be sharing multiple windows here, and it GoToWebinar is telling me something about my window isn't active. Okay, good. So so anyway, I'm not afraid of rejection, but I just hate traditional selling. I don't like going out there and feel like I'm bothering people by trying to sell them something that they may not be interested in, even if I know they need it and they could benefit from it. So so I tried a lot of things. The first thing that actually worked was cold emails, and I actually had a whole webinar on that a couple years ago, and it worked. If you did it a very specific way that I did, I was able to actually get some of my first clients through cold emails, and I got a whole system that I could outsource together, and it was great, and it did what I needed to do at the time, which was make money from working from home, and that's what it did. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't a good enough system to be able to scale, to build a large business, and that's when I realized I had to find another way. I sent direct mail. That worked pretty well. There's a lot of techniques that I used. Some of them are similar to the ones that Brian used, and we've kind of combined our expertise in that area. And for those of you who are part of our Clients on Demand course, you're seeing some of those things, which is pretty cool. So anyway, but what really worked and what really kind of built up, I'm not sure how to put it exactly. It kind of built a thing that made clients come in. It made it so clients constantly flowed in. Was events, and nothing high pressure, and that was my biggest misconception about it beforehand is networking events or these types of events where you really have to go in and schmooze people and be the life of the party, because that's something I'm definitely not. And I always assumed that those types of things were for people like that, and I quickly found out they weren't, and once I did, my business changed. And so, Brian and I talk all the time about picking a niche, becoming the expert, and letting everyone know about it. And that's something that I didn't used to do, and Brian taught me about that when we became partners, and it works. And I suggest that everybody do that. But I still think there's some benefit from this that can build your reputation in your community, let everyone know you're the go-to person, and that can help you both get projects when you're starting out to fund everything that you're doing, as well as help you in the end with building your business in your specific niche. So anyway, small events happen almost every day in any decent-sized city, especially during the week. Business networking. And pretty much all of them are fun and low pressure. You don't need to be a sales type person to turn it into a major profit resource. I am exhibit number one for that. I don't like to talk to people I don't know, but these things are great. You go to them, you have a beer, and you just kind of walk up to people, and you don't even need to say anything. You just kind of stand near a person, and it's about a 98% chance that they're going to look over you and shake your hand and ask what your name is and ask you to tell them about your business. And so it's a real nice thing. Chamber of Commerce, I see somebody mentioning that here. That's, I guess, a similar type of thing. I've never really had good experience with Chamber of Commerce. It's always the same people. They're usually real small. I I think these types of events, the types of events you can find on Meetup.com or through the grapevine in a local business journal, those are the types of events where you can really get your name out there and really get to know people and turn it into a profit resource where you're constantly getting a flow of business. So can you really get clients from networking events? The answer is yes if you do it right. The problem is that almost everybody does it wrong. And I see that all the time when I used to go to these networking events. Some people wouldn't follow up at all. The people that do, they'd hand out business cards, put me on a newsletter list, and now every once in a while I'll get a newsletter from them, and that's it. A realtor or something, he'll send me a card every Christmas. And, there's nothing wrong with that. It keeps him in my mind, I guess, if I were to ever need his services, to some extent. But, I don't really remember him very well. So I don't know much about him. If somebody was looking for a realtor in Washington, D.C., which is where I met him, maybe I would remember to refer them to him. But, I don't remember if I thought he was any good at what he did, or if he came across as somebody that I would want to work with. And that's the thing. Once you leave, a lot of people forget about you. And even if you remind them by sending them an email occasionally with like a newsletter or something, they still probably won't remember you really well, or what you do or what you can do. And that's what I was able to overcome by doing something nice for them. At the time, my main focus was websites, building business websites, and then upselling everything else. And so I would meet people, collect cards, and then when I got home, I would go through, find people that I met who I felt like I could help their website, and I would have my team develop a design, a mock-up design for everybody who I felt like I could help. And then I would send it to them over email. I would send them a nice email saying, hey, remember me? We talked the other night. I probably mentioned, I do free mock-ups for people if they're interested, and here's what I can do. Here's what I feel like your site could use. If you're interested, let me know. And some of them were. Fair number of people were. And I got a lot of business that way. But even more so, now they're going to remember you. Now they're like, wow. Not only do they think, wow, that guy's really nice. He did something really nice for me. But they've seen what I can do. They're like, when people compare their current site to this new site that really impresses them, that makes a connection in their head. Now when somebody mentions, oh, I'm looking for a website, now you're the first person they think of. You're in their head, as it says, get in people's heads. That's how you do it. But of course, website design isn't the only service that we offer, and there are other ways to do this. I think right now, if I were going to do this right now, I would go home and do one of those quick like Hangout tricks to get ranked for like best plumber in Baltimore or something like that, and then I would send them an email and say, hey, remember me? We met the other night. As I mentioned, I do search engine optimization. Look at what I did for you. Search for best plumber in Baltimore, and you'll see that you're number one there. It's a video that I made talking about your service. We can do a lot of really cool stuff like this. Let me know if you're interested. And that's, I bet. And again, I haven't tried that specific trick, but I bet we would get a ton of clients interested in SEO. Yeah, I'm not gonna. In fact, we're Hangout tricks, Jim. Yes, that's not something that I have down to a science yet, but I know the Daredevils talk a lot about that. Dr. Bem, I think. There are Google Hangouts, basically. My friend Zane Miller, he's the one that kind of pioneered all this. Him and Jason Fladlin. Basically, using Google Hangouts on air, live Google Hangouts. Google really likes them, I guess. And if you do it right, you can just do a quick hangout talking about something, call it Best Plumber in Baltimore, and social book market, things like that, and put it on a site. And a lot of times, very, very quickly, you'll get ranked for that term. And it helps if it's a not a especially competitive term. Adding best like that makes it a little bit less competitive and makes it easier to rank for, but it's still very impressive to a potential client. It kind of shows them what you can do, and piques their interest for going further and getting a full SEO package where you do the real long-term stuff that can really help their business in the long run. So yeah, things like that, and that's not the only thing that you could do, but that's to me that's the thing I would do right now, because it's quick and it's easy, and from everybody that I've seen succeed with it, it's very fast to work. So Brian and I are actually meeting tomorrow about how we're going to put that all into a system and have a team that kind of cranks out these types of Hangouts for different businesses and gets them ranked real quick so we can approach them. So anyway, but the point is that if you do something nice for them, something that shows them what you can do and is really a nice thing, if you send them a report about their website, that's pretty nice. That's not something that might wow them. If you say you're missing this, you need to change this. But it's still nice. It's still something they'll remember. And so if you do something nice that shows them what you do and shows them that you know what you're doing, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. You follow up over email, send it to them. If you don't hear back, follow up a few days later, follow up a few weeks later. You did something nice for them. If they don't hear you or if they don't respond, there's no reason why you shouldn't just follow up with another email. Stay in their head, and you'll get business from it, basically. So when people know and like you, they think of you first when someone mentions needing a service you offer. And there's a lot of events that happen every month. It's the same event run by the same people, and there's always new people at the events, but some of the people are going to be the same. And when you see somebody more than once, 3 times, 4 times even, the chances that they're going to send you business now increases exponentially. Because they meet you once, it's easy to forget you. If they meet you again and again, now they're going to remember. When they see you, oh, you're that guy that does SEO. You're that guy that does websites. So that's a good thing about going to these consistently, because people remember you and people refer you. So, and here's another benefit. A lot of people that attend these types of events are connectors, and you probably know the type. They're the people that know everybody, especially like in a local area. A lot of times they tend to be insurance salesmen or accountants or people that deal with businesses directly. Then they know everyone, and they want to know you. And once they do know you, and especially if you see them multiple times, and impress them, especially if you impress them by sending them something that makes you stick in their head, you're going to get a lot of business from it. Now you're the person they refer people to, and they do it because that's kind of their nature, but also because it helps them. If they know you're good at what you do, and they refer people to you, and you do a good job for them, that makes them look good. So this is kind of a cool thing. So for 1 year, I averaged 1 networking event per week. Sometimes I went to 2, all in the local area. Real quick, let me, this should work. Hold on one second. I'm going to switch to, here we go. Can everybody see? Now it should look like should be a website, the Meetup website. Can everybody see that? Okay, good. So I just searched for business networking within 10 miles of where I live, and as you can see, there's tons of different groups that are related to that. And if you look on the calendar, not all of these are things that I would attend, but Baltimore professionals and entrepreneurs. Let's see, what do we have here? The Strategy and Networking Meetup Group, professionals and entrepreneurs. Some of these are like little talks where somebody gives a presentation, and of course, if you go there once or twice, then you can be the one to give a presentation. Entrepreneur Expo. This one, the monthly Monday meetup at Smartly Space. I used to go to that. There's 20 or 30 people there, and all business owners. It's this brown bag lunch. I've been to that. These things they all have a lot of business people at them, and they happen constantly. It was never difficult for me to find an event to go to at least once a week. So let's real quickly go back to the PowerPoint here. So anyway, for 1 year, I averaged about 1 networking event per week. I followed up by sending people I met a mock-up design, as I mentioned, and I closed a ton of deals. In August of 2012, I pretty much stopped going to networking events altogether. My son was born. He's 14 months old now, and it's a lot harder he's my 3rd child, and it's a lot harder to get out of the house now. Somebody has to put the baby to bed, and somebody has to put the older kids to bed, and it's hard to do all at once. so it's harder to get out of the house in the evening. Plus, 5 days after my son was born, that was when Brian and I officially became partners, and Brian tends to handle more of the sales, and it became less necessary for me to use this stuff, to use this type of marketing for our combined business. So anyway, so I haven't really done any of this type of networking in 14 months. And now the slide is not, there we go. So I attended my last networking event 15 months ago. I just want to make that clear when we go to this next slide. In the past month, we have worked on 4 separate projects for clients that I met at events or who were referred by people that I met at events. This, for 1 year, I went to an event every week, met some people, got to know people, did nice things for me, did nice things for them, and we're still getting business from it. You know, over the last year, and the last 15 months, I mean, we've gotten untold numbers of clients and projects and referrals from these exact people, the people that I met there. So, you know, I mean, that just kind of shows how powerful it can be, especially when you're just getting started. You go to these things, you get your name out there, and clients come to you. You know, you won't be able to go to one every week if you're going to be niche specific, but you certainly can. And I would, if you, as I mentioned, I suggest that you focus on a specific niche. And you can even present yourself that way when you go to these networking events. You know, you can tell all the people you meet that you focus on real estate agents or you focus on the automotive aftermarket industry. And a lot of them will know people in those industries and will refer people to you that way. But also you can find events that are specific to that, especially if it's something that has a broad local base of people in that industry, like real estate. You know, you can find real estate networking groups and attend those if real estate is your niche. If you focus on real estate agents or on property management companies or go to meetup.com and search, because there's so many different industries that have meetups constantly. And if one of those is your niche, then you can go to their type of industries and clean up. So Jim wants to know, when you focus on a niche, aren't you limiting your business? I used to think that actually a couple years ago, and then I realized that that's not the case, because when you pick a niche and become the expert, you become the go-to person for that industry. You can position yourself very easily, and we actually go over that in our Ultimate Market Takeover course. And this is what Brian and I, especially Brian, because he did this before we even became partners, have done in the automotive aftermarket industry. And now, those 4 projects that I mentioned, none of those are with the automotive aftermarket industry, but we're certainly not going to turn them down. It's just extra revenue for us, and our team handles it all. Which is really nice. But the focus by positioning ourselves as the experts in the automotive aftermarket industry, that gets clients to come to us. Brian writes for publications. He speaks at events. As I mentioned this morning, he spoke at one of the largest automotive aftermarket conferences in the world. And people see him there. They say, hey, that guy knows what he's doing. If I want a website or a mobile website or a mobile app, I need to talk to him. And you don't need to limit yourself to people that are just in your city. You can focus on that industry on a nationwide or even worldwide scale, and that's when you can really get a lot of business that way. So anyway, but if you're just starting out, if you're just picking a niche, or if you haven't picked a niche yet, and even if you have, I feel like this is a good way to get some projects coming in the door. Position yourself as the go-to person locally before you even expand your business nationally, and become well known in your area. So let's see. Someone asked, have I ever tried to speak at local service clubs like Lions or Rotary clubs? I've never spoken at those clubs. I have spoken at a couple things. Like there was an authors club, like it's people that are trying to self-publish themselves. They wanted to know about websites. I spoke at that type of an event. I spoke at a chamber breakfast about websites and about how to get your website out there, things like that. So yeah, but never at a service club. So yes, there will be a replay. It'll be on with all the other replays on our website, localclientformula.com, and then click on weekly hangouts, and all of our hangouts are there. So let's see. It looks like all the questions so far. Are there any more? Be happy to answer questions about this. I really like. I really had a lot of success doing things this way, and I wanted to share it because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are more like me than they are like Brian, and could benefit from these types of methods of attracting clients, becoming known as the expert, getting people to know who you are and to want to send you business without being the quintessential salesperson. So yeah, somebody said no one is like Brian, and that's true. He's one of a kind. So and he's fun to work with. We're very different, so we're constantly at each other's throats, I think. But we do well working together, and it's been a fun 15 months since we became partners. Is the webinar you talked about earlier on emails in the local client formula area? No, it's not. That's something I haven't done that webinar in a long time. I have a free guide. Let's see. Yeah, Jim. If you're not in our Facebook group, join our Facebook group, the local client formula Facebook group, and then send me a message. And I wrote a guide about that email method. Again, it certainly works, but it's not going to build a huge business. But it was good for me at the time. But yeah, find me on Facebook and I will send you that. Just friend request me if we're not already friends on Facebook, and then and I'll get you a copy of that. For mock-ups, I always use people on Odesk. I've never tried Fiverr for mock-ups, Patricia, but I would think it would be hard to find something real high quality for $5, but you never know. You can find a lot of great stuff on Fiverr. How did I meet Brian and become partners? Actually, I was doing that webinar with the emails with Neil McPherson. He was hosting me. I was doing that webinar, and after the webinar, the next day I got a call, and they left a message, and it was from Brian, and I wasn't sure who he was, but he said something about hearing me on the webinar, and so I returned his call, and we met for coffee, and so he attended that webinar and heard me speak, heard me say I was from Baltimore, and wanted to meet and see if we could work to see if we could help each other out, and once we started talking, we realized that we had a lot in common and also had very complementary skills, and for several weeks we kind of talked back and forth about what kind of partnership we would want if we wanted a partnership at all, and how well it would work, and what our goals would be and what our duties would be, and in the end we decided it would be a good move, and it has been so far, so that was good. Let's see. I'm looking for other. Have you used client incentives such as free trips, cruises, gas card vouchers? I have not, at least not with this. I have never used those types of things. So yeah, I mean, I built a list. I didn't really do much of a newsletter or anything like that because I would just follow up over email periodically, related specifically to the nice thing that I had done for them. Say, oh, did you see the mock-up? Or, oh, do you know anybody else that might want a site as great as the one that I built for you? Things like that. But I never used client incentives, so I don't know of a company that provides those. Let's see. We'll see if there's any questions I missed here. And if anyone has any more, feel free to type them in the question box there. All right. It looks like I got all of them. So yeah. So it's like I said, my biggest thing about all of this, but before I realized the power of this, was thinking that networking events and things like that were not for people that were shy or that weren't really sales types or weren't the life of the party. And learning the first time I figured out that that wasn't true, the first networking event I went to ever, there were maybe 20 people there. I only really talked to 3 or 4 people the whole time, and ended up getting a $10,000 project within a month from somebody that I met at that event. And that's when I realized that, you don't have to be a salesperson to be able to benefit from that kind of thing. So, here's a question. What sources can you look for meetings other than Meetup? There are others. One good one is most cities have a business journal. Like here, there's the Baltimore Business Journal. I know there's like South Florida Business Journal and a Dallas Business Journal, and they have them in most major cities. I know they have a list of events that are going on. I found Meetup covers 70% of these types of events, and also there are some that really aren't advertised. They're kind of secret. But everybody knows about them if you're part of the networking community. So, you go to events, you meet people, and as you're talking, you say, oh, what kind of events do you go to? And they'll start telling you, oh, I go to this thing or this thing. And that's a good way to kind of add to your calendar if you're looking to do that. There's one that I used to go to. I think it was called Network After Work. And I met the guy, every time I would go to one, I would see the guy who runs it, and real nice guy. And he started this out in Chicago, and it works so well. They get 500 people a month going to this event, and now he's expanded it out into 20 or 30 different cities. And he just travels around the country, and every month it's at a different restaurant or club, and they'll usually rent out an entire floor or something of a club or a restaurant, and there's hundreds of people there usually, and those are kind of cool. And when I first started doing it, they were in 7 or 8 cities. Now I think they're in 20 or more. I think it's called Network After Work, so that's a good one to look into and see if it's in your city. How did you choose what type of event to attend? Anything related to business or entrepreneurs, or I would type in business networking and kind of spider out from there. I would see what kind of events there were. Most events are tagged with different tags, and I would go through those tags. If I found a good event that I thought would be good for me to attend, or if I attended it and saw that it was good, I would say, what kind of tags did they use? They used business networking, they used entrepreneurs, they used business to business, they used young entrepreneurs as a tag, or whatever tags they used. I would search for meetups using those tags and find things that I didn't find before because they weren't under the thing I was originally searching for. So, and that's how I kind of found and built my calendar. If you find an event and like mark it or say that you're going to attend or that you did attend, then it'll show up on your calendar or I guess it's not an event. If you find a group that you like and you join, the monthly Smart Business Meetup group or whatever it's called, if you join that group, then all of their events will show up on your calendar. And after you join as many groups as you find that are interesting, you can just look at your calendar and see what events are happening throughout the next week and throughout the next month. And sometimes you can say that you're going to attend if you want, but you usually don't have to. You can usually just show up. And it's a great way to get your name out there. It's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to grow your business. And I recommend it, especially if you're just starting out. So let's see. I've heard meetup groups are all broke and have no money to spend. What did you find? The meetup groups themselves, sometimes they're profit-making ventures like that Network After Work. Obviously he's running these in an effort to make money for himself. And that was one of the few networking events that actually cost money. I think it was $5 or $10 to attend. Most meetup groups are free. I don't know if maybe you're, okay, I see you are asking about the attendees. Some don't, but some do. The biggest clients we've ever landed didn't come from meetup groups, but I certainly landed plenty of $2,000, $4,000, $5,000, $8,000 clients from meetup groups. And and of course when you have a team in place that can work on all that, it makes it very easy. It doesn't matter that it's only a $2,000 client, because if you're only doing a couple hours of work and your team's doing the rest, and you're clearing $1,500 profit, it's certainly worthwhile. So yeah, I don't know if we ever landed a 5-figure client from meetups, but I didn't find either from the group or from referrals that they sent me, and I don't know if I mentioned or if I stressed that, but a lot of the people that I got from attending these were not people that I met at the events. It was referrals from people that I met at the events. From a connector, or just from somebody that I met, and their friend was saying, oh, I'm having trouble with my website. And they're like, oh, I know this guy. He totally knows what he's doing. You should give him a call. And I got probably 70% of the clients I got were that type of client. It wasn't people that I met at the event. It's people that refer people, and it's because they remember me and because I did something nice for them, because they saw what I can do, and now they're basically my sales army. It's a little different from the actual Instant Sales Army program, but it's I've kind of built a referral army rather, and they're not working on commission. It's all free. So Patricia says she found a well-connected group recently with a huge sponsor, but they only meet monthly, and that's fine. A lot of groups only meet monthly, but if you find 4 or 5 groups that meet monthly, then you have something every week, and and you meet a lot of different people. It's like I said, it's good to meet the same people multiple times, but it's also beneficial to not see the exact same people at every single thing you go to. And by going to a couple different types of events in different parts of the city and the surrounding area, what I used to like to do was to go down to D.C. It's only about 45 minutes from here in Baltimore, and it was a whole different crew, a whole different group of people. So you wouldn't see the same people in D.C. that you would see in Baltimore. And so I kind of put my reach out into both groups, and that helps me a lot. And that's not possible in a lot of areas, but in some areas it is, where there's 2 large metropolitan areas within an hour of each other. If there is where you live, that might be worthwhile. Or, if you live in Chicago, for instance, you can go to some that are actually in the city, some in the northern suburbs, some in the western suburbs, and you'll see a lot of different types of people, and a lot of your reach will expand in a big way. You won't see the same people in different areas like you would if you went to lots of different events in one city, in one specific suburb. So, okay, let's see. David. Yeah, David, I'll get in touch. I don't know if that would be something we would want to do, but I'll let you know. Thanks for writing that. Okay, so I guess that's all. I don't see any more questions. So, thanks. I hope that you guys enjoyed this Hangout as much as I enjoyed putting it on for you. And I hope you learned a thing or two. And that's it. So Brian will be back tonight, and we will have another Hangout next week. And I'm not sure what it'll be about, but Brian will probably be leading that one. So I'm sure it'll be about some awesome high-level skill that you can use to get a ton of clients. So thank you to everyone that thank you to everyone that wrote questions and that communicated through the question box. I appreciate it. And I will see you all in the Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group, search for Local Client Formula and join. There's a lot of cool information in there, and that's where we share all our newest stuff that we're doing. And and yeah, so good stuff. If you only caught part of this, the replay will be on our website, localclientformula.com, and if you click on weekly